I am going to attempt to install OS2 Warp onto a 486 DX2 66 machine with a whopping 32 megabytes of RAM and a 2 gigabyte hard drive. Now, I have done one of these lives before, and for the people who were there, they'll know it did not go well. There are a number of mistakes made, but one of the biggest mistakes I made was not going into the BIOS and actually doing an IDE auto detection. I believe this is the reason why I failed so badly the first time round. So let's see what we have here. We have here a drive, and it appears to be loading quite well. So we can skip this one. Now, this is one that is now saying a size of 33, and that probably isn't very accurate. So, we've got a situation here where this drive is not being detected properly. So what I'll probably do is try and drop it back to 1 terabyte again and see if that works. But I am very concerned by that drive size being detected in there. I'll do one more auto detection, but they're all coming up as size 33. Mode large, head 32, cylinders, yeah, it'd be LBA mode if I remember correctly, and more heads, less cylinders. I suspect that's true, but I got a better detection with a 1 gigabyte drive. We're not in terabytes anymore, on gigabytes. So I'm going to briefly shut that down, and I'm going to go into my configurator tool, which you can't see for the moment because it's not actually being captured, and I'm going to try and adjust that drive size because I'm thinking maybe 2 gigabytes is a bit too large for this machine. So I'm going to I'm just creating a drive image now, so we're just going to call it actually I've got the number of cylinders and things here, so if I call it 1024, so I'm going to quickly write down how many cylinders and things there are in this. So we have 63 sectors, 16 heads, 2080 cylinders, and a size of 1024. So that's what it should be detecting. I'm going to give it a new name of OS2 Warp, and I'm now clicking on OK. Hello everyone who's here. I'm attempting to install OS2 Warp again. Right, drive has been created. Remember to petition and format the new drive. So I will do that, and I'm just double checking it's got the right file. Yes, it has. I'm clicking OK, and you should see my screen pop up again in a moment as I start it. So OS2 Warp machine is now starting. I'm going to go into the BIOS, and I'm going to turn on my capture again and click on OK. Is there not a bloated version of Windows 11 floating around about? Do you know? There are loads of them around, but I don't use any of them. I would rather take the normal version of Windows 11 and debloat that rather than download someone's entire debloated version, because that way I know it's coming from a legitimate Windows source. So things like Chris Titus will do a debloating script that works just as well as a lot of these reduced things, and you don't end up suffering from security flaws and other issues. So I'm going to pop over to here, and I'm going to do another drive auto detection, and we'll see if it picks up this time. So we have here size 1073. Right, so it's number 1 that's right, isn't it? Because I had 16 heads. Yep, so I'm going to select number 1 and double check the size. Heads 16. How many sectors were there? I did write it down. So there was 63 heads. No, there's 16 heads. And 2080 cylinders, that's fine. So I'm going to go for number 1. Hello, in your opinion on Windows 11 Tiny? I don't use it. I will not use any reduced version of Windows that comes as a whole package. I will install Windows 11 and then I will install something like the Chris Titus script or something that's been very vetted, and I'll use that to debloat Windows. But I will not take an illegal copy of Windows myself and use that, because I don't trust it. I don't know where it came from. I don't know what the motivation behind it is. When it comes to PC security, I'm absolutely paranoid. And besides, if I want a fast running operating system, I won't use Windows. I'll go to Linux. And the reality is, if you're using the kind of hardware that needs you to reduce Windows down to that size anyway, then you're better off on Linux anyway. So I'm going to save and exit. So this time we have a hard drive set up and ready to go. So I'm now going to change the floppy disk, and I'm going to find my installation disk. Yeah, it's giving me a little bit of an error there. Let's try that again. So installation disk 00. I'm going to send a Control-Alt-Delete. So system Control-Alt-Delete. Then we're going to see if we can boot it up. Thanks, man, for the memories. I hope you appreciate it. So what I'm doing today, guys, this is the second time I've tried to do this. The first time I tried to do it, this went completely wrong. But this is the second time, and this time I set up the hard drive in the BIOS with the right settings, I hope. And I'm going to try and install IBM OS2 Warp version 4 from floppy disks. So this is what it was like installing an entire operating system from floppy disks. So now I've got to do my first floppy swap of the day. So disk, and I'm currently putting in disk 1, because we started off with disk 0. And we're going to press enter, and it's going to start loading up from this one. And there we have the classic OS2 Warp screen. Someone says, I think it just reduces hardware usage, not security. No, it definitely reduces security. Things like Bitdefender, file scanning, a lot of things are altered on these ISOs. And this is the problem. You have an ISO there. You don't know what they've done to it. You really don't. A lot of people will go, but it says open source. Open source does not relate to the Windows files that are being given on these disks, so I do not trust them. Like I say, I'd rather take an official installation, and I'd rather reduce that one down using scripts that have been vetted rather than these ISOs that are going around. I've been down that route before. I've been burned by unofficial operating systems. And I'm rather disturbed that it's now coming back into trend, because there's going to be a lot of situations where they're just genuinely not legitimate. Even the sources where you get them from, because they're not official vetted sources, you don't necessarily know you're even getting the Windows tiny version that you think you're getting. You could be getting it from someone else entirely. So at least I know when I buy software from Microsoft, I'm getting it from Microsoft, and then I can do what I like to it afterwards. And again, if I want a tiny, light operating system, right, so last time I did easy installation, it went wrong. But last time I did easy installation, I hadn't actually done a BIOS check on the on the hard drive. So we had a weird situation where OS2 for Warp was finding a hard drive that did not exist in the BIOS record. So that was weird. I'm afraid I don't have the floppy drive loud enough for you to hear. So I'm going to click on easy installation. So loading system files. Hard drive partitioning complete. Removes disklet from drive A. Insert installation disk. Now, what they don't tell you is the installation disk is actually disk 0. So I'm going to select that disk. Sorry, the reason you can't hear floppy drive sounds is because I am installing this off images. This is emulated hardware, so there is no physical drive here. The reason I'm doing it that way, I could put a floppy disk there and I could get the original disks, but I know And remember, there's 112 disks in the installation. 112. So you just know one floppy disk would be broken and it would screw it all up. So I wanted to take that variable out at least. So I am just using it. Yes, there is an ISO version. And the ISO version does simplify this process. But that's not how I used to install software. When I was a computer technician starting out for the first time, we used floppy disks. And we would sit there for hours formatting and using floppy disks, and that's what I'm trying to recreate now, is just the experience of having to put hundreds of megabytes onto your computer from 1.44 disk systems. So I'm now swapping the disk out again. So we're going to disk 1, not to be confused with disk 0. And then we'll continue. Now, I have been through the 3-disc cycle of just getting into the boot up so many times now. So it will be interesting to see if I can actually, if it will detect the hard drive, or if I get the same error message I did last time, in which case I'll have to go through the manual process again. And that was not pretty. It did not go well. There is an entire live on my YouTube channel for 3 hours showing me failing to install OS2 Warp 4 in the same method. So I think I'm being very brave in coming back and trying this again. Someone says money. I suppose you don't know where to buy laptop parts. It's probably in relation to something someone else said. I kind of clipped that one. Thing cam connects to the motherboard. Okay, they're talking something else there. I work now high, by the way. Work now high, by the way. Okay. Don't get that one. Probably a conversation with someone else. Right, so next disk. So we're going to have disk 2. And again, there's 112 disks in OS2 Warp's installation. Now, you don't need them all. The installation disks only take up 40 of them. I have no idea if you need all 40 or not, or if it's just like loads and loads of drivers and software and stuff, but we're going to find out, hopefully. I think this is about the point I got last time where I started getting lots of error messages. So loading system files, please wait. Right, so we're asking for disk 3 now. So finding disk 3. Yes, I'm still going to try and install the OS again. You were probably there last time I screwed it up for 3 hours straight. And this time I've actually got the BIOS to detect the hard drive. So with any luck, we won't get a repeat of that one. But you never know, because I did pick the easy installation, and that's where I got a load of problems last time. But it might have been that the easy installation simply didn't work because of that BIOS error. But again, it was just so weird that it was finding the hard drive in the advanced mode. That just made no sense. That genuinely blew my mind when I realised it was happening. Please wait while the installation partition is formatted. Well, okay, that's hopeful. That's painful. Okay, this is what we had last time. So an error has occurred when the system installation tried to format your fixed hard disk. The installation program has failed due to an error. Do you like that? Do you like that? Due to an error. It doesn't tell you what error. It's just due to an error. To view the error, view the install log. Okay, that's fine. I don't know why they couldn't have just taken the information that was written into the install log and just display it on screen. Right. To take action to correct the error, insert the OS2 Warp disk into drive A, hold down Control Alt Delete. It's just telling me to reset the computer, isn't it? When the logo panel is displayed, remove the disk, insert disk 1. Yeah, it's just telling me what I've just done. So I'm going to press Enter. We're going to see what the error is. So we're installing OS2 Warp 4, Model FC, whatever that means, bus architecture, response, file interface not being used. Okay, right, greater than 100 meg primary partition exists. That's the same error I had last time. And when I went back and I manually made a partition of 100 megabytes, it said it was too small. So, despite having gone through the BIOS and made sure the hard drive is there, and double check the settings to make sure there's a number of cylinders and heads were all correct, we're still getting this error, which means I still need to do the advanced thing. Joy. Right. Okay, so I guess I'm restarting this now. I'm never going to get this installed, am I? That's going to be my fate. I love this channel. It brings back so many memories. Did you two sit there swapping floppy disks and cursing the machine for not giving you enough information? Or the fact that it says 100 megabytes is too big. But I made a petition that was 100 megabytes in size, and I formatted it. It said it was too small after that. So I'm not making that mistake again. I think the last time we managed to settle on about 175 meg on the primary petition actually did something useful. Wait, you modified the files on the floppy disk? I don't think you should do that. I have not changed any files on the floppy disk whatsoever. This is pure original files running on original, well, not original hardware, but emulated hardware of the time. Did I hear about the infinite storage glitch? No, I did not. Disk 2. The really annoying thing about this is they couldn't squeeze the installation software into just one floppy. Every time you do this, you've got to load 2 to 3 floppy disks. I will probably search for it later. Now, to be fair, if I can't do the installation, I may go download an ISO version. But I really want it to work from floppy disk. Well then, this is sure confusing. Yep, no modified files whatsoever. And we want to put in disk 2. And this is just getting so I can actually partition the disk. Though I want to see what partitions they've actually set up on the easy mode. And your YouTube doesn't have a limit. Turn your files into pixels and then upload it as a YouTube. Fair enough. Because if you get a 4K image, you've got quite a lot of pixels you could put in there. If you have simple black and white dots, yeah, I can see that. Right, this time we're going for advanced. Right, let's just specify a different drive or partition. I want this to be manual, so enter. Modifying partitions warning. There we go. Okay, so that's how it wants it set up. Yeah, so it's put 500. Okay, so that's obviously way too big. Now it hasn't put the boot installation there, so that's a problem we had last time. So I'm going to try and duplicate what they got here. The only difference is I'm going to bring down the file size. So if I'm going to delete this, and right, install boot manager, I imagine, and create partition. I'm going to give it 175 megabytes, which seemed to be the magic number last time. That's a primary partition. Start of free space. I'm now going to have. Actually, no, I'm going to assume that this is all I need for now. And I'm going to click on. Yeah, so F3 to exit. Right, partition with at least 100 megabytes installable, press any key. Right, so I need to set something installable. Right, set installable. So we've got set installable there. Enter name, I'm just going to call it boot. I'll call it book. Set installable, whatever, I don't care. Book, boot, who cares? Save that one. No partition with at least 100 megas is set to install. So there is a partition there. It does have 100 megabytes, and it was set to installable. Okay, let's try this again. It's not obviously like in this one. Delete partition. Let's try that again. Create partition. I'm going to give you 150 this time. Primary drive. Start of space. It says startable. Set installable. Boot. Boot installable. So will it let me save this time? So it likes 150. Okay. So you can upload it. You're lucky you know what you're doing. I think I would have ended in a trash bin if I did it. Now, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's clarify this. I am guessing based on previous experience. But given that I spent 3 hours trying to do this and failing, do not assume I know what I'm doing. System. Right, so I've got to put the disk back in there again. I did, but I'm not convinced I need it. So I want to try it this way, and then I am going to try the bootloader. And that's purely because it was not letting me save anything. So I have a theory, and I'm testing it out. It will probably be a waste of everyone's time, but yeah. Did I put the right disk in there? Hang on. Talking and selecting floppy disks do not go hand in hand. Right, reset. I do need a boot manager, but I think the boot manager on these old systems can actually be installed on the installable drive as well. I think you only need a boot manager when you have a Windows installation and an OS2 Warp installation. That's my theory. I may well be wrong. Yeah, I spent 3 hours on a notebook that wouldn't boot Windows. If I changed the hard drive, it still wouldn't let me. Yeah. That sounds like a proper technician, that what that does. Why does this thing not work that should be working? Why do you forsake me so, God of computers? Oh, I got another. Oh man, this brings back memories. Yeah. This is OS2 Warp installed from floppy disks. I'm not cheating with a CD. This is the original installation method. I tried OS2 Warp on an IBM laptop back when it was new. Ended up with a laptop that went pong over. Don't quite get how you ended that sentence, but I'm assuming that meant it failed. I still have the installation media somewhere. Are you telling me you've got 112 discs somewhere? Because I'd like to see a photograph of that. Not because I don't believe you, just because I'm genuinely curious. If this installs now, I may actually go on eBay at some point and try and find a box of OS2 Warp installations just for fun. In the box, let me go find nice. Of course, if I'm going to do that, I would need a proper original 486 machine as well. I don't actually have anything around here with a physical floppy drive, so I'd have to build myself a 486 computer. I played a sound forever whenever I did. It played a sound forever. Okay. Yeah. Stuck. Right. Do I go for easy and select right? I'm going to go for advanced because I want to see what it's doing. OS2 Warp will be installed on drive C. That's fine. Okay. It's asking for the next drive. Okay. Now it's not going to fool me with full soap because I know it still needs to format things. And press enter. My 486 DX2 is still in storage. First computer I built. You know what? I really wish. I mean, I couldn't because I lived in bedsit. situations for years, so I just could not physically store all the computer equipment I've owned over the years. But I would love it if I managed to keep my old 286, my 386, and my 486 machines. The only other one I want, okay, I'm going to assume high performance file system is okay. But I'm getting a little bit further than I did last time. But yeah, if I could have kept my 286, 386, 486 machines and my first Cyrix P150 Plus machines, I would be quite happy. Especially that Cyrix machine, because it actually had a Power VR graphics card, or graphical accelerator, which was the competitor at the time to Voodoo. No one ever talks about the Power VR cards, but I remember owning one. Please wait while your installation petition. Loading system files. Please wait. Now, you see, if this was a modern operating system, installation system, you would have the annoying voice of Cortana reading all this out to you. I don't miss that. So again, this is an emulation system, so it's emulating roughly how long it would have taken to copy a floppy disk over. There we go. Now we get to see all the individual files copying. You remember the Power VR? Nice. Power VR, downloading the special patch so you could run the first Tomb Raider in high resolution. I think it was 1024 by 768 graphics. And at the time I was just like, whoa, so many pixels and it's smooth. that was my first experience of high definition media. Warming up some old computer memory centers of my brain. Yeah. Now, so I never. This is kind of new for me because I've kind of played with OS2 Warp once before on a virtual machine, but I never actually really used OS2 Warp. I was very much in the Windows space when I was a technician and doing all these things. I don't know anyone really who used OS2 Warp. I knew some people who used Solaris. Solaris is a Java-based operating system. It's still going today. And I remember some people. There's this weird sort of video editing system called Purple. I don't think it was Windows. I think it was something else. Thank you for the follow. I really appreciate it. I had too bad. The final Voodoo card never launched. Forgot the name. BIOS. No, I didn't use BIOS back then, but there was this other obscure operating system I temporarily used. Very short lifespan, hardly anyone picked it up. It will come back to me at some point. But OS2 Warp, I never really dealt with it. And I was quite surprised in the last live, someone actually told me that Microsoft and IBM had a code sharing. So OS2 Warp is actually Windows NT, because IBM and Microsoft were working together on this project. And the original Windows NT was actually going to be, I think it was New Technologies OS2 Warp. And then, of course, they fell out with each other and they split apart. But yeah, OS2 Warp was actually Windows NT in its early days. So the disk 4 now works. What did it need? Now, I've actually gotten this far before and it wouldn't boot off the drive. So we don't know if this is working or not. I suspect I may still need to load the bootloader. But I have a theory right now that if you're just installing OS2 Warp 4, you don't need the bootloader because it should be installed on Drive C automatically. I don't think it was Telenet, no. No, it'll come to me at some point. I don't think it was part of the Linux family. It was something else. It'll come to me later. And I may even be misremembering the other operating system. It happens occasionally. It was so far back. Turns out I'm old. But yeah, to be fair, there is something very simplistic and nice about these old installation methods. You got your progress bar, you got the whirring of the disc. I know I don't actually have one here, but I can hear it in my brain, trust me. And it was just kind of nice, relaxing. You could just slowly go through the installation. You could think about the problems of the world, have a cup of tea, maybe go fix a few other computers while this is going on. But there was something almost zen-like about watching that progress bar slowly go up. And then when, by the time you're on disc 10, your patience starts to wane. But I do like the fact that I can literally see every single file being installed on this computer. You couldn't do that with a modern OS, could you? The sheer number of files that you install on Windows 11 or Mac or even Linux is incredible. Oh, yeah. Now, for me, I've never had the last disk fail. For me, it was usually about the last third. Thank you for the follow, I appreciate it. The last third of the installation. So if it was a 30 disk installation, it would be something like disk 20 when it would fail. But yeah, if it failed on the last one, I think that would be a box of discs going out the window. Actually, no, it wouldn't be. What I would actually be doing is frantically calling around people who I know got this software and begging to borrow a disklet off them. I am indeed trying again. I am trying again. I'm a sucker for punishment. Last disk install was Windows 95, around 25 to 30 disks, I think. Yeah. This is OS2 Warp. I don't know how many installation disks you actually have to put in there, but it has 112 disks in total. That's including all the drivers and stuff. For installation media only, it has 40 floppy disks. I only bought OS2 Warp because the discs were cheaper than empty floppy disks. Fair enough. Wowzers. Patience of a saint, haha. It wasn't even patience of a saint, it's just what you had to do. But the worst thing is, and I remember doing this once, is running around the office, desperately trying to find a copy of the disc that had just failed for me. And after about 3 or 4 hours rummaging through stuff, finally getting that disc, slotting it into the machine, and realizing the entire computer has frozen anyway. So I had to start again. What disc was that again? Disc 5. Oh, we're halfway through the number of discs it took me last time to discover I've failed. So that's reassuring. Thank you for the like, I appreciate it. And if you guys ever want to see my complete attempt and utter failure of doing this last time, it is on my my YouTube channel. And once I'm finished, I'm just checking now. Yes, it is recording still. I've had this happen before where TikTok Live Studio just stopped recording for some reason, but it is recording. And assuming it continues to record, I will also upload this one to my YouTube channel. And if anyone wants to see me torture myself by installing some other old piece of software using floppy disks, please feel free. Let me know in the comments, and I'll do another live featuring that piece of software. I'm definitely going to do a DOS installation at some point and a Windows 3.1. I'll probably play around with Windows 1 and Windows 2. I might even do it in order. Start off with DOS 5, then go on to Windows 1, Windows 2, Windows 3, etc. I wonder if Windows XP ever had a floppy disk collection. I should actually do the Windows NT versions as well. Windows XP floppy. There's a boot image, but I don't think that ever arrived on a collection of floppy disks. So I think Windows 98 had floppy disks. I wonder if ME did. Windows ME floppy disk images. But it may well have been. Yeah, you got the boot disk. They're showing me boot disks here. They've got Windows 11 boot disk here. That's quite funny. I think someone must have mislabeled that one. What about Windows 2K? I'm actually going to check. Right, well, I've got to swap this floppy disk around first. Disk. And we're going to go disk 7. And I'm going to click enter. But Windows 2000. Oh, did I put the wrong disk in? Windows 2000 was my favourite Windows. I was one of the people who actually didn't like Windows XP because I thought it looked too babyish. Because it had all those bright greens and pastel colours and stuff, and I was just like, why do I want that on an OS? I just want a nice plain grey desktop with a disgustingly teal background, because that's what I was used to at the time. And to be fair, they've kind of gone back to that again, because you know the Windows 10, Windows 11, yes, it's more colourful than Windows 2000 was, but it's a much more professional colour scheme as far as I'm concerned. You got your blues and greys and whites rather than your neon greens and your disgusting blues. That's just how I felt at the time. I know you could change the skins and that. In fact, actually, one of the things I did when I was forced onto Windows XP was download a Windows 2000 skin, because that's just how entrenched I was back then. Oh yes, I was checking to see. OS2, I used to run Node and Wildcat BBS on that. Nice. I was checking to see what the last version of Windows was to be installable from floppy disks. Someone said it's Windows 98, and they're probably correct. I don't remember it. It was OS2, if it was 3 or Warp. But I remember it's coming in 2 different coloured boxes, depending on whether it came with Windows support built in or not. Yeah. And library. Right, so what do we have here? Windows ME. That's the last one I could imagine having floppy disks, because it was still Windows 98 based. And I'm only seeing CDs. Yeah, there's no collection of floppies here. So it looks like Windows 98, or maybe Windows NT, which did come after 98, didn't it? And disk change number 7. Lucky number 7. Which isn't really lucky. It won't do anything clever. Just copy some more files. Windows NT. Let's check those. So let's try Windows NT 4. I vaguely remember that coming on floppy disks. All the CDs here. Maybe not. Of course, it may just not be a backup of them. So we have Windows NT4 embedded. So maybe Windows NT3. Library. And Windows NT3X. Okay. Maybe he didn't. I could have sworn Windows NT3 came on floppy disks. X floppy. Yep, it definitely came on floppy disks. We've got Windows NT Server, we got collections of floppies for them. Yeah. So yes, Windows NT4 did come on floppy disks. Nice to meet you again as well. So we have managed to get to the end-ish of disc 7. There we go. We will find out after disc 10, that we now then need to put in disc 0, 1 and 3 again. Just to get your hopes up. You think, oh, I'm coming to the end of this. No, you'll just have to go back to the beginning. Disc 8, there you are. Enter. Enjoy the Zen experience of watching a progress bar go up very slowly for at least 10 floppy disks. This is something every kid should do in school just to teach them patience. Oh. You're from Malaysia? Cool. So we have a PMM merge. The fun thing is that given the amount of time it takes to copy over a file, I could probably Google what that file is and work out every single file's purpose as we go through the installation process. And actually you can tell that this is very Microsoft inspired because it's got DLLs and it's got the very traditional Microsoft style operating system files in it. I subbed on your YouTube because that's where I spend most of my video watching time. Nice. This video will go up on YouTube assuming it doesn't fail. And I don't mean fail the installation, that's just good entertainment. No, I mean the recording fails for some reason. So we're now 43 minutes into the stream and we're still on disc 8. A very old OS2 warp, yes indeed. Very old OS2 warp installed from floppy disks because I'm a masochist. And before you ask, yes, there was a CD version I could have installed. But that wasn't how I used to do it back in the day. We used to do it on floppy disks. So, because we didn't necessarily have a CD drive. This is not Windows 95, no. Is it possible to install an IBM AS400 OS? Possibly. I'll have to look it up. I think that may have been a bit before my time. Or it was more industry rather than home user. I've got IBM i 7.4 operating system. IBM Power System Server. IBM i was an operating system developed by IBM for IBM Power Stations. It was originally released in 1988 for OS 400. So I'm assuming it isn't AS. It was industry, okay. Isn't AS400 Power PC based? It might well be. In which case, this emulator wouldn't work with it because it only emulates x86 architectures. So it will do the 8086, 8080s, the 286s. It will do Tandy 100s. Is that kind of series of processors. I suspect Power PCs will need a different emulated architecture, and I'm not sure if there's a tool for that. There we go, the IBM AS400 mid-range computers. Okay, I'll check that out in a moment. But I certainly never used one. Disk 10. Softdraw.dll. So the AS400 family mid-range computers released in 1988 and released in August 1988, successor to the System 36. Lower cost but more powerful than predecessors. The AS400 was extremely successful at launch. Nope, never seen one of those before. That's a new one. Operating system. Okay, so it was okay, so OS 400, later known as i5 OS and IBM i. So what architecture was it? Yes. So we had RS64 Power. So I'm assuming that's Power PC. Oh, disk 10 is halfway through. I wonder if there's any OS 400 emulators. Emulator. Oh yes, there is. AS400 emulator, zero client terminal emulator. I wanted some free open source emulators for IBM. Let's have a look. Depends what you're looking for. Open source terminal, so TN5250J. If you're looking for full emulation of the system itself, you're out of luck. The closest thing would be from Infinite Corporation. Okay, so it doesn't look like there is one. RS, is that the same as RISC powered? I'm not 100% sure. I have to admit, I was always on the x86 side of technology. Unless it predated the PC, in which case it was all BBC Masters and Atari STs and that kind of machine. Oh, we're on disk 11 now. Okay. It does this sometimes. I swear I put in the right disk and it just says, nope, nope, wrong disk. You can't read the screen. There we go. Let's try again. OS2 Warp Guide is an agent that provides step-by-step assistance for select system tasks, such as connecting to a network printer. Yeah, I have to admit, if I wanted to connect to a network printer, the first thing I would type in is Warp Guide. Who let the boss out? Spit his tea out. I've not seen that in a billion years. Why am I here? TikTok. And as you can see, I'm installing it old school from floppy disks. And yes, I know there is an ISO version out there, but what's the fun in that? This is now being a 50-minute installation. 50 minutes watching floppy disk copy. Oh, we were installing the incredibly important fonts. Now we have F1 base.rsp. Don't actually know what an RSP extension file is. To be fair, there was a time when I wanted OS2. I was 13 and stupid. I almost certainly would have seen OS2 in a magazine and gone, ooh, that looks interesting. But I never had any purchasing power, really. Now, I think it was after disc 11 that it then starts asking me to put disc 0, 1 and 2 and 3 back in there. Right, reinsert OS2 Warp installation disk. Right, so we're going back to disk 0 now. Which kind of annoys me a little bit, because it means that they had some installation files on that actually might be copying over the system files. So no, I'm going to ignore that thought. That's a silly thought. It might just be copying over whatever the DOS alternative was. Yeah, OS2 kernel files. Yeah, same. But I think they did have a pretty good marketing campaign for OS2 Warp back in the day. It just didn't beat out Windows. And you could tell that because OS2 Warp was compatible with Windows programs. So I think they're going for the best of both worlds approach. Disc 1. I mentioned this earlier in the stream, but I learned last time that Microsoft and IBM had a code sharing thing going on. And what was OS2 Warp was actually Windows NT technology being built, which I didn't realize. I always thought they were distinctly different operating systems. And in many ways they are, because they operate quite differently from what I remember. But IBM was code sharing with Microsoft, and they were building Windows NT. So this software literally went on to become Windows NT in the long run. And we're still using Windows NT technology today, because I think what version of Windows 11 now? I think that's version 8 or something. I don't know. Is it Windows NT 10 now, is it? Okay. But yeah, we're still on that family of operating systems. NT kernel is indeed a code share. There was a lot of that, including POSIX, compliance, libs. Yep. Well, I know Microsoft made POSNX. Yes, I'm sure they did. I was on disk 3. What number was that again? Disk 2. There we go. We're never getting out of NT kernel. Well, you can. You just got to install Linux. Disk 2 is being copied with remarkable speed. Remove disk from A, then press enter to continue with installation. Exciting. We get to see if I've screwed up the boot again now. So we're going to eject, system, and Control-Alt-Delete. There we go. I probably should have pressed enter, actually. I hope I haven't just screwed that up. I wasn't thinking. I was running automatic. Okay. Oh! It's booting from the hard drive. It's booting from the hard drive. I was right. I didn't need to install a bootloader. Yay! Vindicated. Let's see if it screws up now. Truth. In essence, Windows is always a legacy project. Yep. Oh wow! You know what? This is the furthest I've gotten in an OS 2 Warp installation so far. I'm genuinely excited to finally have made progress. If you go back onto my YouTube channel, you'll see a 3.5-hour video of me failing to get this far, and it was all because I didn't do. Oh wow! We actually have. We have a GUI. We have a GUI, guys. Wow, this is genuinely exciting for me now, given how much time I spent on it last time. Wow. Okay. I'm actually getting to see OS2 Warp running. Right, so it's detected my country correctly. It's got the right keyboard. It's got my S3 graphics. Serial pointing device. It's obviously using the serial pointing device because my mouse is moving around. We have a CD drive, printer, jazz. So we're going to click on next. This is where I'm going to engage in pure guesswork. So advanced power management. I assume that's okay. But I know I don't have a SCSI. External diskette drive not supported. Infrared support. Oh wow. I remember that, trying to beam files over on an infrared port. It never worked properly. PCMCIO support, no, don't need that. Dock2 configured, don't have that. Ultra Bay device swapping. Yeah, we don't have any hot swappable devices here. So we're going to go next. Select system default printer. Don't have one. But look at these old port name. Parallel ports and COM ports are your printers. Look at these old device names. You got Brother, you got Canon. Oh, I wonder if they are, oh yeah, they have the bubble jet printers. I used to have a Canon bubble jet. So if you ever see BJ and BJC, those were bubble jet printers. And of course BJC is bubble jet color. IR and Bluetooth still use COM naming and interfacing, they do. Oh wow. Plotters, I remember these old plotters. Literally a big arm and a pen would come and draw on a big sheet of paper. They were fun. I actually kind of miss those. Right, okay, that's fine. We don't need to install any other printers. We just do not install default printer. Okay. I very much doubt they have drivers for my my current network printer. Warning, default settings will be used for one or more multimedia and video device. View, modify these sections, cancel. Multimedia device settings, warning. Default settings will be used for one or more multimedia audio and or video device. To view or modify device selections, that's fine. Select selections. I'm going to click on selections. Okay. So this is all about. So I just have a Sound Blaster 16. So that's going for a Jazz 16. That's weird. I'm definitely on a Sound Blaster. Jazz 16 media version. Devices and system to be installed. I don't know what the Jazz media version is. I'm just going to click on OK. Trident 64, that's fine. Yeah. So look, to be fair, some plotter platforms overlapped with CNCs, but they did. All these old graphics cards. So we have the ATI 2800. See, they're much more advanced than the modern graphics cards. You can tell because they've got a higher number. I remember the Cirrus Logics. I've also used CGA. Oh, it would be so funny to install this under CGA graphics, but I won't. Not given how much time it took. Yes, I have a YouTube channel. It's under the same name, at CK Enthusiast, and this video will be uploaded in its entirety to that channel. EGA, or extended graphics. Now, I'm obviously selecting the S3 Trio because that's what my hardware's set up for, so that's fine. So, disk space available, needed 75. So that's good news. Bonus pack, Java development. Let's install that. Multimedia support, WinOS2 support. So that basically, if I disable Windows support, it saves me 6 meg. OS2 DOS support, which is 1.5 meg. Cirrus Logic, yes, they were quite popular back then. Tools and games, they have to be installed. Assistant Center, fonts, yeah, we'll accept all that. Add existing programs to your desktop. Okay. Now we're going to start asking for disks again now. That was disk 3 it wanted, wasn't it? Where is it? Disk 3. I just loaded disk 2 in there. Come on, disk 3, come to me. There we go. Oh, see, now we're much more advanced. We've moved from that DOS style installation to a beautiful graphical installation that is very, very Windows NT-esque, funny enough. Now, if you wonder why that's disappearing, because I'm doing Control-Alt just to get out of the emulator and select the disk. So when I go back in, I then have to Alt-Tab back into it. There probably is a release key, but I'm too lazy to find out. So there we go, disk 4. So there we go. So now we install the MS-DOS files. Yeah, so I'm guessing this is the MS-DOS support that that I'm planning to install. You know what? I'm just excited at this point that I've managed to make a bootable drive with Warp OS 4. It's amazing the difference that actually detecting the hard drive in the BIOS makes. Though the easy installation still didn't work. So I'm not very impressed by their easy installation method. So we've been through 11 disks so far. So 1.4 meg each. That is 114 megabytes. No, that's 10. No, that's 10.4 megabytes. What we're talking about. And the OS was going to be 11 meg. This is going to actually take most of the disks in there. Hey, question. I want to install Windows 11. I thought I saved you how, but I don't see it anymore. Oh, I thought I saved your how to, but I don't see it anymore. That's almost certainly on my YouTube channel. Though it may be on my TikTok. I do have some playlists there. Let's have a look. I don't understand what you're trying to do here, but your voice sounds nice. I am installing a very, very old operating system called OS2 Warp 4. It was released back in 1996, and I'm installing it from floppy disks. So this is what I had to do back when I was a technician. This is how we had to install all our software. And I'm genuinely excited. And by the way, if you like the sound of my voice, head over to my YouTube channel at CK Enthusiast, and you will have many hours of me talking, and occasionally cursing because I couldn't get this to install before. You showed how to go into the regedit, so by you're talking about how to install it without TMP, and yeah, that's definitely. Well, I think I did that on my TikTok and my YouTube. So let's have a look at my YouTube. Right, let's put disk 7 in there now. Disk 7. I mean, you may want to check out my playlists. I don't have my iPhone. It's not charged right now, so I can't go into that account and have a look. But I believe I have a Windows 11 playlist on my CK Enthusiast channel, so you'll be able to find it there probably. In the meantime, I'm pretty sure I did that one on my YouTube. So I'm just going to go into my library. Oh, it's copying disks faster now. Not that I'm complaining. Oh, actually, we're on a disk we haven't used before. We're on disk 12. Woo! I remember installing Windows 95 with the 10 floppies. Right, I was looking at my library. Let's go into my YouTube Studio app. That'll show me all my listed videos. And content, there we go. Right, so yeah, the last video uploaded was the OS2 Warp 1. Disaster, jellyfish, installing, how to install Minecraft, 28 days. Maybe it was just a TikTok one. Windows 10. Still clean Windows 11. I guess I didn't do it for my TikTok yet. That's a new video I need to make. How to install Windows 11 without... That's right, I would have done it on my old blue laptop, in which case I didn't have screen capture software. So that's why I did it on that, because I was installing a whole OS. So yes, that would have been on my TikTok. But I will, sometime this weekend, I will make a proper YouTube video showing how to do that. I do have a HDMI capture box. But basically, it's just a registry hack. I think I pressed like F3 and just did a quick registry hack on it. It's a bit of an oversight for me not to put that on YouTube, to be honest, because that's where the Better tutorials are probably placed. Oh, we're on unlucky disc number 13. Windows 11 will work on anything. It just depends how fast you want it to be. I've had it running on Raspberry Pi 400, which is incredibly slow. That is disk 13, isn't it? That's right, because I said unlucky 13. There we go. But yeah, in terms of just raw system requirements, they don't need the specs they recommend. It's just getting around the TMP2 requirement and the fact that it's an older processor. Right, you changed it to yes or one. How are you call it? However you call it, sorry. At least the installation screen. Actually, you know what? I actually quite like the DOS-based installation screen. This one is, it's nice enough. It's got some windows you can move and some. Let's have a look at that beautiful wallpaper. There we go. That embossed OS2 Warp wallpaper. I have an i7 4790K, but I think it was something that Wind 11 would not even look at. It won't if you do it the normal way, but if you disable the processor checking and you disable the TMP checks, I suspect it will run on a 4790K just fine. And when I say just fine, I don't mean it will perform very well. I just mean it would run. No worries. Disk start.wave. We're on the very important wave file copying now. Ooh, disk 14. And I'm now locating disk 14. Okay, it thinks it's the wrong disk. Let's try that again. Change disk. Let's try 14 again. Installation disk 14, yep. There we go. This is indeed a long install. And it's though I'm happy, I'm making forward progress. I'm actually loaded into some kind of OS. Okay, I just found the release controls for PCM. It's Control FN and an end for me. Hey, Gram Glam, you are now seeing me reliving my glory days of installing entire operating systems from floppy disk. Thank you for the live, I appreciate it. So we are now installing OS2 Warp from scratch on an emulated 486 DX2 66 machine with a massive 32 megabytes of memory, not gigabytes, megabytes, and a 1 gigabyte hard drive, which actually only has 150 meg partition installed. So we are now using 1990s emulated technology to install a 1990s operating system, specifically 1996. Oh, it zoomed through those files, didn't it? It got very excited then. So disk change. I'm now installing disk number 15 of 40. I am now on disk 15 of 40 of them. Okay, and it's not liking that disk. Let's try another one. Call me a genius if and when I actually manage to successfully install it. There you go. There we go. You can see, I almost want to say I don't want these WAV files. I don't need an operating system with WAV files, thank you. Disk shut. OC shut. What else have we got? This is the first time we see this screen with you going forward. It is indeed. The last time I tried this, it literally took me 3.5 hours to give up. This is genuinely what I did as my early career. I used to be a computer builder and an IT technician, and most of my life was spent watching formatting, hard drive defragging, operating system installing, often from floppy disks, on hardware that was about the Pentium 60 to Pentium 75 level. How did I get past the last barrier? Last time, the reason it was failing is because I had to go into the BIOS and I had to do a manual hard drive detection. And there was two problems back then. First of all, I didn't have the total number of heads and cylinders, so I think the drive wasn't being written to properly. But once I got all that information and typed it into the BIOS manually, it seems to work a treat. Now, I did try the easy hard drive setup. That still failed. So what I had to do was go into F-Disk. I set up a 150 megabyte partition. I then set it to installable. I did not install a bootloader. The only reason you need a bootloader is if you have a copy of Windows on the system already. And once I'd done all that, I then patiently waited for 11 disks of installation to prove that I'd actually done it right this time. So that was the process. And if you want to see the specific process, I will be uploading this video to my YouTube channel so you can see it for yourself. But yes, it all basically came down to the fact that the BIOS had not detected the hard drive. Now you might say, but hang on a sec. If it hadn't detected the hard drive in the BIOS, why did you not think that was a problem? And the answer is because when you go into advanced mode, it still found the hard drive. But because it wasn't booting from the BIOS into that hard drive, it was just dumping drive data directly into the IDE interface. It appeared to be copying everything and partitioning and formatting, but it wasn't loading the boot sector because, of course, the BIOS didn't know that drive existed. And in order to boot into a drive, the BIOS has to hand off go load boot sector to load bootloader and then proceed into it. So that was what was happening at the time. But from my point of view, everything was copying over fine. The hard drive was being seen by the software, but the BIOS just would not let me boot into it no matter what I did. And that was 3.5 hours of my life wasted last time. But having said that, once at the end of that stream, you realise that was what was going on. I was able to come back this time round and with relative ease actually get into this part of actually booting off the hard drive. So yeah, that was so weird. It really was, because it really should not have been able to see the hard drive at all. How can you retrieve onboard graphics after removing all drivers by accident? Any clue? You go to the website, you download the drivers again, and you reinstall them. So yeah, best thing you can do is just grab yourself a USB, jump on another computer, download the drivers to that one, plug them in, and reinstall it. Unless, of course, you've got basic SVGA graphics, in which case just download and install. Disc 17 of 40. I can't see no screen to do it. Okay, thanks. Good idea. You can also try safe mode, depending on which Windows version you're using. If you use safe mode, it will load up generic drivers. It won't load up the ones that are corrupted. So you should at least get into a Windows screen where you can start installing drivers. I don't think I've had to go into safe mode in Windows 11. Windows 11 safe mode. So after your PC starts, you'll see a list of options. Select F4 to start your PC in safe mode. If you need to see it, you can use the Internet 5 for safe mode and networking. I don't know why they had Dragon.wave. Don't know what that's about. I can't see no screen. About okay. I thought I'd be able to get into the BIOS, but I can't even access that. Now, if you can't access the BIOS, then I would be looking at all the connections on the back of your machine, and I'll be making sure they're all plugged in properly. Because if you can't get into the BIOS, you've got an issue. What are we doing? We are installing OS2 Warp for a 1996 operating system on an emulated 486 DX66 PC with 32 megabytes of RAM, an S3 Trident graphics card, basically the machine I was using in my childhood. And I am installing an entire operating system from floppy disk, just to show people what it was like when we had to install operating systems back in the 90s. So this is IBM OS2 Warp. This is the final version before they failed. So we are now on disk number 18 now. Disk number 18 of 40 separate installation disks in a software package that comes with 112 installation disks. Most of those are extra installation disks, are very specific drivers, printer drivers, and that kind of thing. But at some point we will go beyond our 40 disk installation, and it will probably need some kind of driver software off one of the other trillion disks in the package. I deleted all the drivers, not thinking it would remove the onboard drivers. Ever since, it's just blank. Um, so if you have, hang on a sec, sorry. If you have no access to your BIOS and you're not getting any visuals at all when you turn it off and on again, then there's something deeper going on than drivers, because you should at least see the BIOS screen coming up. So just pound that F1 or delete key or maybe F12 on your laptop until you see the BIOS. If you see that, you know your display is actually working. After that, I recommend jumping onto another computer, grabbing a USB disk and just making a Windows installation media and just using that to start recovering things, because it will have a recovery mode. It gives you some options to actually boot into something. But the other thing you can do is just hit F4 on the keyboard, try and bring up that, what we call it? Sorry, I want disk 20, don't I? Try and bring up that safe mode, Windows safe mode. Might want to look up your specific computer instructions for it. But if you can access the safe mode, in theory, that should just bring up standard SVGA graphics, and you'll be able to use those. But it should just bypass whatever drivers you've moved, is my general point. But worst case scenario, you'll have to install Windows again. One of the things you can do if you've got another computer is remove your hard drive and copy any files you need to copy to another machine. Another way you could actually do it is by making a Linux bootable medium, and you can try rescuing the machine from that. But probably not good for someone who actually hasn't done it before. Yeah, Windows Media installation is probably best, and safe mode. So start with safe mode. Safe mode is where you want to start. Would be adding another graphics myself to sort it out. I don't want to waste money if I don't. Don't think you need a new graphics card, mate. I forgot how long it takes to transfer files to floppy. Well, this is floppy to hard drive, so yeah, found it. Commented, I just found it just now. Nice. I think we're about halfway through now. So it has now taken me to get to disk 20 in this installation procedure 1 hour and 28 minutes. And we're just hitting disk 21. I just gave you disk 21. Why are you complaining to me? There we go. We are now copying OS2 book trouble.inf. Interesting. I wonder what the book folder's for. I had a game back in the day. I believe it was Baldur's Gate, and it was 8 to 10 CDs long. That was pre-DVD. I bet it took forever. I'm actually looking at the Baldur's Gate size. 150 megabytes. Baldur's Gate takes 150 gigabytes. Okay. You should do more lives. First time I came across this. I'll probably do one once a week or so. Because as I do this, it allows me to make a YouTube video as well. Every move was a disc change. Yep. I've been there. Oh, I used to do that mostly on the Atari ST. Just like I think I had one game was like 12 discs, and every time you went to a new stage, you had to swap floppy disks around. Then I got CD version. It was like 3 to 4 CDs. Yep. They added all that voice data and videos and all sorts. We are now on disc 22. Sneaker net. No idea what that is. Oh, that was a really quick copy. I'll have a few more of those, please. Right, disc 24. And okay. Oh, that's quick as well. That's because it's printers and plotters. I'm not really doing much with them. Oh, we're racing through now. My kids have no clue what 28.8 internet is or what dial-up feels like. Maybe that's the next thing I should do is browsing the internet of the 90s with a 28.8k modem. Oh, we're back to slow floppy drives now. No more quick passes for Daniel. It probably would, yeah. I'll have to work out. I seriously need to get myself an old 486 computer. Oracle Solaris. So Solaris is still going then. That's the one. A Solaris 9 I think I was using back then. We have 2 fibre lines in my house. One for servers, one for the household. They don't know what loading is. Sneaker is where you have to walk... Sorry, where you have to walk machine to machine using sneaker shoes to transfer data. Fair enough. The original P2P network used to pass floppy disks. Oh, I remember walking home from school with a 3.5-inch floppy disk in my pocket, hoping that it will survive the 2-mile walk back in my jeans. Yep, I remember token ring networks. I remember Novella. I remember NetBEUI. I remember using patch cables, linking a couple of machines up together so you can play Command and Conquer, which did use a NetBEUI network method. Yeah. I remember having to reinstall dial-up networking because Windows had once again managed to corrupt the damn thing. I spent most of my career doing that. Disk number 26. Yep, I remember Netscape. I remember being very excited when Netscape Gold came out. I remember watching the first Internet Explorer 4 and immediately hating it. It was typical Microsoft, not compatible with anything. I remember having to install plugins to Netscape to get multimedia sites running. You had to install your Flash, your Shockwave player, and any there are websites out there that actually required you to download and install a piece of software before you could actually use features on the website. There are 40 floppy disks in the installation bundle, but in total there's 112. Yep, IPX. I remember, well, I never went to a network party because no one really had computers. They were all console users. But certainly my brothers and I would have one or two machines. I think we had 3 machines in the house because my father was an IT manager. So he got his hands on some older machines. Oh, yep, Napster. The thing that really shook up the music industry and finally got them away from burning CDs. I swear, if it wasn't for Napster, we probably wouldn't have any streaming services right now. But yes, I remember running long cables between our computers and playing Command and Conquer on LAN parties. There was Napster, then you had LimeWire, torrents came later. Yeah, so LimeWire was quite popular for a while. You used to have all these sort of weird file sharing clients. We used to have coax, so it was amazing when we could go twisted pair. Yes. I don't think we're on coax. I remember Ethernet, but that doesn't mean we used Ethernet. It just means that it's so long ago that I've actually used coax that I forgot. Oh, disk 27. Come to me, disk 27. There we go. Napster and DC++. I don't remember DC++. I assume they were a knockoff. DC++. Ah, it was an open source. DC was a free open source peer-to-peer file sharing. I never actually used DC. I never heard of it until you just mentioned it. But that is very much what the LimeWire stuff was. Oh, and of course, trying to get stuff off message boards. The news groups. News groups was another way of getting stuff. Oh yeah, I mean, all the file sharing networks hit the problem where people very quickly realise if you want to spread malware, that's how you do it. The BBS trade wars, yep. I just love the old copyright protection system we used to have. Of you had 2 floppy disks and a manual. You put your game in there and it'd say, on manual page 12, line 13, word 6, what does it say? Yes, the day which Yahoo had chat rooms. I was always on MIRC when it came to chat rooms. But I remember being in work and ICQ, there's a general announcement at work that we weren't allowed to spend time on ICQ because it was preventing us from doing work. I am indeed using floppy disks. And in fact, I'm not using a floppy disk. I am using 40 floppy disks. 40. Yep. ICQ. Back at the time, ICQ was so ridiculously popular that I, to this day, do not understand where they went wrong. That they literally owned the market, yet somehow Skype managed to take over, and there's various other messaging services. But ICQ seemed like it would dominate everything for years, and I just don't know what happened to them. I mean, they're still around. You can actually still download ICQ, I think. I just don't think anyone bothers. MSN Messenger, yes. When I say Skype, I meant MSN Messenger. I don't think I ever used AIM Yahoo. I may have done. Probably. I'm not going to theorise. I suspect someone bought them out. It's usually what happens when a competitor is too big. Someone with more money will just buy them and shut them down just so their product can work. Yes. Oh yeah, AOL AIM. Yes, I didn't really use AIM that much. I was on ICQ and MSN Messenger. Um, yeah, I don't remember using AOL very much. I used to use AOL as a dial-up client, but I never really used the AOL email systems or anything like that. Somehow I managed to skip past all that. Probably because I'm British. You've got mail. I heard it in all the movies, but I never really had it on my machine. Here's a glimpse into the past. Well, I think Computer Knowledge Enthusiast sums it up. The only retro tech flexes I have is a 5-digit ICQ number. uh, I don't know. I quite like Glimpse of the Past. It makes me sound like I'm doing Xbox Pass reviews. I had Kmart, Blue Bulb Internet, which was Netscape Internet. I don't remember Blue Bulb Internet. I can't see. I don't know what provider I was on. I went through so many of them. I think it was whatever dial-up service was offering the cheapest phone calls at the time. Come on. I just fed you disc 31. Why are you doing this to me? Right, where's 31? Come back 31. I need you. There we go. Kmart owned their own ISP discs. Like there are so many ISP discs. It was incredible. I remember getting very excited when they finally moved over from these local rate numbers to owning their own 0800 numbers, and that meant we could finally use free internet calls. You'd often have to pay for a monthly service or something to do this. But I was even more excited then when they started releasing these sort of free internet services. It didn't even require you to pay. Data transfer was terrible. They weren't fast by any means, but and you'd often have to listen to an advert or something before you actually dialed up with them. But I was forever on the hunt of whatever ISP-based disc I could find. They're always on the front of magazines with amazing offers and, 0800 numbers and all these other things going on. It's just like, yeah, there was no ISP loyalty back then because it was whatever you dialed into. These days, you buy an ASDL line, and you're locked into a 24-month contract with 1,500 free minutes of internet. That's exactly the kind of deal they kept offering on magazines and stuff. But like I say, because it was all dial-up, there was no being locked into Virgin Media or Talk or whatever company you signed up with. There was only your modem and whatever phone number that modem would call. And that was kind of a big advantage for the consumer in many ways, even though internet was by no means cheap, because it would often cost local minutes and stuff. But they started getting into wars. I remember using Diamond Media Online, and lots of other ones. But it's whatever appeared on the next magazine would almost certainly be the internet ISP of your choice, that gave you X number of free minutes, and then you go find someone else, and you just hop between things. It always seemed louder at 3 a.m. when you try to be quiet without telling me about it. 3 a.m. You're downloading your personal collection, and your modem's like, and then your mouse is click, click, click. Your keyboard's clatter, clatter, clatter. Oh, yeah, yeah. I remember sitting there downloading movies over dial-up, and it would literally be, you start the download, and you would just wait for it to... Does anyone else remember real media? Real video, real audio, real media. That was the file format I was downloading a lot of videos in at the time, because there was this like real media player thing going around that was free. And DivX came out, which increased the quality, but also kind of made file sizes a little bit bigger. But yeah, we had all these sort of competing media standards and things. Yep, DivX. DivX was a codec you actually had to cut. You kind of got a free one, and they had DivX Pro, and they had various things. Yeah. Yes, I remember Johnny Quest. I used to love Johnny Quest. 700 meg? We couldn't have done 700 meg back then. That would have been there for a week. I think we're downloading like 12 megabyte files for entire episodes of stuff. I think that's how I actually encountered Dragon Ball Z back in the day. Some of these downloads. Disc 33. But yeah, I never watched anime or anything before the internet came along. I kind of discovered this entire cartoon genre once or twice back when I was a kid. Street Fighter movies, that kind of stuff. But I never actually found Toonami until like early 2000s. Because back when I was a kid, I was like 15, so it'd been 1995, 1994 time. And I think the biggest anime I'd ever been exposed to was a Street Fighter 2 movie, which wowed me at the time. You found it 2000 when it first came out, yeah. See, my family never had network TV. Cable TV or satellite TV. My stuff was always BBC 1, 2, 3 and S4C because we're in Wales. Then Channel 5 came out. It's like, whoa, a whole new channel. And I never experienced cable TV until I think I must have been 22, 24, something like that. Yeah. Of course, yeah, it's quite interesting because my parents still watch, um, normal TV. Now, I say normal TV, it's Virgin Media, so they get the Virgin Media channels. But is now what I consider the old. I'm 43, so I was born in 1980. Your name is the anime movie name, is it? We had cable TV because to get internet in the area, 56 gig, you need coax TV internet provider. Yep, yep. We just did pure dial-up, so there was never any TV associated with it. But I do remember a lot of those ISPs being bundled with TV packages. It's just that my father didn't believe in cable and satellite TV. Why would he want to spend that money? There was 5 perfectly good channels for him to watch. Thank you very much. So from most of my childhood was just like trying to desperately find something on the 5 channels we had that was worth watching, which was usually Wednesdays 6 o'clock Star Trek, and before that it was Neighbours on Channel 1, BBC One. You're 44. Look at the difference in colour between your beard and mine. Not fair. Actually, my brother went grey really early. He started going grey when he was 20, which just goes to show you exercise isn't good for you. 34. Oh, disc 34 of 40. We're actually starting to see the light at the end of this very long tunnel. I have now been installing OS2 Warp 4 for nearly 2 hours. I'm from South Wales. Excuse my itchy eye. I think I'm going to have a little allergy reaction to something. I think it might be the washing powder in my shirt because my face is itching and my eye is itching, and that generally means I'm having a little bit of a reaction. I need some antihistamines. It's really annoying because I never used to get these reactions when I was in my 20s and 30s. I've only started getting them in the last 2 or 3 years. Father living winter. Time up in Spain, uses VoIP telephone. They rent telephone for £10 a month, €10 a month. Found it. Baldur's Gate original 1998 had 5 floppy disks. It's a reaction from all the floppy disks. Yes. Airwalk and Airstream, Fall Guy. Yep. I assume you mean Airwolf. I remember A-Team and Fall Guy, the series. Yep. Never did Street Hawk, never did War Games because I remember the War Games movie actually, but we never did Street Hawk because that was a cable thing. I don't think it was on normal TV. Disc 35 of 40. The light is at the end of the tunnel. I just hope it's not an oncoming train. It's a train. If you had told me in 1997 that I'd be able to put 256 gig in a chip the size of my thumbnail, yes, I know what you mean. And the reality is, that's probably not even the latest technology. You could probably get a terabyte on that now. Fatal error when inserting disk 39. Don't jinx me. Do not jinx me. My jump drive, I bought the install to Windows 1T. Hello, my jump drive I bought to install Windows is the 1T. Okay. I'd run a virus check over my floppy disk and it would scan over 0 and 1s and fix the 1 was X. Blue screen of death. If it even existed back then. Are you kidding? Our generation invented the blue screen of death. Well, actually, we had a different system because I was on the Atari ST. We used to have the three little bombs in the corner of the screen to indicate something had gone wrong. So blue screen of death was very much a Windows 95 thing. I think it was in Windows 3.1.1 actually. I think they had it in Windows 3.1.1. Oh, Windows ME. Windows ME was Satan's jockstrap in terms of operating systems. It was definitely wedged up in the place you never want to be. Can you make a video connecting OS2 Warp to the internet, please? I will do my best, but I honestly don't know. Yes, you actually did get blue screens of death all the way back to Windows 3.1. I love the blue screen of death at Microsoft conference when they introduced USB. Windows ME was where I went, was why I went to FreeBSD. I don't blame you. I moved over to Windows 2000. And that was my favourite operating system in the world because it just worked. The only way Windows ME wired was if you upgraded for Windows 98. Blue screen of death did happen in Windows 3.11 for sure, yeah. Bill was like, well, okay, this machine is not working. Never mind, guys, it's in beta. Is IBM PC DOS better than MS DOS or the same? I don't think there's enough difference between them to really care, other than that some games wouldn't work on IBM PC DOS. Yeah, OnePlus for Windows 2000. I stayed on Windows 2000 as long as I could. I outright refused to go on to Windows XP until I really had no choice. In fact, I may have actually skipped on my own personal system. I think I skipped Windows XP entirely and jumped straight to Windows Vista. I remember work machines using Windows XP, but my own system is on Windows 2000. Yeah, exactly the same as me. Yes, Windows 2000 was the best. I stayed on Windows 2000. I was forced to upgrade. Exactly the same with me. Nearly there with the installation. Nearly there. The best Windows 98 promo event, and Bill Gates plugged in the printer and blue screened. At least it was an accurate representation of the operating system. XP only worked with SP2. I have to admit, the most stable version of Windows for me was Windows 98. This is on the 9X family. Was Windows 95 OSR2. That was a seriously stable copy of Windows. Then I upgraded to Windows 98, and it went straight back to blue screens, display driver issues, and all that kind of stuff. And again, I think it was Service Patch 3 where Windows 98 or Windows 2nd Edition actually became a properly usable operating system, in my opinion. See, I went straight to Vista, and I was very confused because everyone was saying, "Oh, I hate Vista. I hate Vista. It's horrible. It's unstable." I never had that experience. I found it to be quite smooth, and I have very little issues with it. But I think a lot of the hate towards Vista at the time was because Microsoft weren't really telling people what system requirements you needed. So people were getting their old Windows XP machines and they were installing Vista expecting it to perform the same. And it was so much slower. It really was. Microsoft did a really poor job communicating what the minimum specs should have been. Disk change. We're on disk. We're nearly there, guys. We're nearly there. Disk 38. Now, bear in mind, that gives us one disk after this. I did say there were 40 disks, but the disk stack count starts at 0. So you got 0 to 39, 40 separate floppies. Windows OS 2 with Monster Truck Madness, yep. ME and Vista were the dark days. Again, I never had issues with Vista, but then I had a machine spec that was well over what Windows Vista required, and I think that is seriously what tripped a lot of people up. Vista was seen as horrible because they certified absolutely unqualified hardware. I may have just been very lucky with the hardware I had. I don't remember what the specs of my machine was, but I don't remember having a lot of problems with Vista. So I may have just been one of the lucky few. And I did actually come into Vista very early. I think it was like 3 months after it had released that I went and bought a copy. Guys, momentous moment. We are on disk 39. This is the 40th floppy disk. And it is working. I was a big action game program, and Vista just made everything slow. I played a lot of FPSs back then. I never had any issues with it. I think I was running games like Sin. Yeah. The most stable was Windows 98 Lite, unbundled with IE and bloatware. I have to admit, Internet Explorer did have a lot of issues. Right. Please remove disk from A. Insert printer driver disk 1. Okay, we got some more floppies to go. Now remember, guys, that this is a bundle of 112 floppy disks in total. So I still don't know how far into the woods we are yet. So I'm now going to try and find printer driver disk 1. I can see display drivers. Right, there's printer drivers disk 1. Voodoo 3 Soundclaster Pro for the win. Oh, we've changed our interface a bit there. Okay, monitor configuration. Install using defaults for monitor type. Install using display adapter utility program. I'm going to go with defaults. Determining hardware configuration. Your monitor might go blank. It's died. Okay, now I've got to insert display driver disk 1. Okay. See, I never actually had any of the Voodoo series. I was on the Power VR for a very long time because it was the only thing I could afford. Quake 2 Accelerated was beautiful. I agree. But I used to accelerate it with a Power VR card. And because I was doing Power VR, the games didn't actually come with 3D FX mode installed. I actually had to download patch drivers and things to actually make my games run with Power VR. So it was a much more clunky system. You might be there tomorrow at the same time on Disk 88. It's entirely possible, yes. So we're on disk. Oh, yep, there we go. We're transferring some display drivers now. So I think technically we're on disk 42 or 43 now. Windows 2000, when they fixed DirectX, Unreal Tournament. Oh yeah, Unreal Tournament was an obsession of mine. I love that game. I never really enjoyed the other Unreal games, but Unreal Tournament was a special kind of fun. And that's probably some of my earliest introductions to proper online gameplay. Display driver, disc 5. So that's disc 43. I love Unreal 5. I modelled my house for it, so for my upcoming reno. Nice. I loved Unreal Tournament and Quake. Doom was good too. Doom and those games, I love them, but they made me feel motion sick. I don't know what it is about those old sprite games, even back when I was a kid. I would play them despite them making me sick as a dog. But yeah, there was just something about those old sprite graphics that just made me feel sick after a couple of hours of gameplay. And it was the same for Duke Nukem, Shadow Warrior, Hex. Those games all had that similar sort of effect on me, and I don't know why. It's like a motion sickness. Please insert the following source disklet into the driver. Disk A. What? What? Please insert the following source disklet into your driver. Sorry, what's disk 1? So why has it got F? Okay. I'm assuming it wants... It's kind of being non-specific as to what it wants. I'm assuming disklet is just disk 1 of the installation set. I'm going to assume that's what it is. But it could be referring to the display driver as well. Yeah, it'll be A, wouldn't it? Incorrect media. Okay, so are you talking about the display drivers? Why are you not giving me information, computer? Why are you giving me a pack of 112 discs and not clearly explaining which disc you want? Okay. Following disklet 1, I guess I'll go through all the ones. I'm gonna try printer drivers next. Don't think it'll be printer drivers. Oh, come on. This is so annoying. Yeah, there's literally no information as to what disk it wants here. Just diskette 1. That could literally mean anything. Okay. It could be disk 0. Let's try disk 0. Disk 0 is in there. Nope. Oh, OS2 Warp, why do you hate me so? We've got some FL discs. Let's see if it's one of them. Okay, yeah, so we're on to a completely different set of discs now. The good news is there's another 40 of those. So we've just loaded up another set of 40 discs. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I did find it, yes. It's literally FL Disc 02. Oh, jeez. Oh, come on. Are you going to make me type in a:// every time? I'm starting to see why OS2 Warp did not catch on. Yes, and now they've added an even more annoying twist. It asks for drive G, drive F, but it's not defaulting to A, where the floppy disk goes. Oh, whose idiotic idea was it to install it from floppy disks? Oh, Jesus. Okay, at least it skipped disk 4. There may be some hope here. Oh, oh, my sanity. And again, every time I've got to type in where to find the floppy disk. Oh, now I think it's actually installing all the programs. So this is the applications they're installing. So we've installed the base operating system. Now we're installing the applications that go onto the system. Oh. Thank you for the like, I really appreciate it. Especially as my sanity is slipping through my fingers. This has been going on for 2 hours and 10 minutes. Movies are shorter than this. Oh, right. Disc 6. Oh, yeah, okay. This would annoy me so much back in the day, because they did not specify which set of discs. Which... Oh, no, come on. Oh. Right, disc 7. Seems to be copying these discs over a bit slower, mind you. Faster, I mean. I'm just seeing this now from a storage company. Oh, pain. Pain. Thank you for the like, Scott. Right. Of course, I just said it was copying these really quickly. So, of course, it now has to... Who owned X-Drive? Oh, yeah, I remember X-Drive. Early cloud storage at its finest. It installs on your system as Drive X, and then you can upload and uninstall stuff, and sometimes it would come down, and sometimes it wouldn't. I just remember OS2 Warp and nothing much running on it. Now, to be fair, OS2 Warp would actually run Windows programs. So that's something I'll have to do, actually, is find some early Windows programs and see what I can actually run on OS2 Warp, because it is Windows compatible and it is MS-DOS compatible as well. So in theory, I should be able to do my MS-DOS gaming, and I should be able to run some Windows apps. Now, I'm not sure if it's Windows 3.1 apps it can run, or if it's Windows 95 apps that can run. And if I actually get this installation done, we'll find out. I just don't get why it's not going drive A. It's clearly got a picture of a floppy disk. It knows it's looking for a floppy disk, and yet it's going, it must be on drive G. What? So now every time I've got to go in and go, A, find the A drive, please. Somehow they managed to make file copying slightly worse. Yeah, you can see the exe files loading. AOL owned X-Drive with 5 gigabytes free in 2007. Again, I remember using X-Drive. Oh, excuse me. It's a bit unique. Must have been around 3.11 era, as I was a DOS and Windows young boy back then. Um, I would say this is one of the latest. This is the latest version of OS2 Warp. I think the final one they released before OS2 stopped being. So I don't know if OS2 3, 2, and 1 were Windows compatible or not. And I don't even know if Windows 95 games or DirectX or anything runs on it. Actually, did DirectX run on OS2 Warp? OS2 Warp DirectX. OS2 Warp, the easiest way to a connected world. Some of the early advertising. It doesn't say that DirectX was an option on OS2 Warp. So it may not be. I use FreeServe a lot. I have to admit that was one of my go-tos, and I remember sitting there waiting for having to wait in the queue to actually get connected, because it was just like beep beep beep, you'd dial up again, beep beep beep, and when you heard that dial tone, when you heard that sound, it was pure joy. You could finally have internet. And I think they give you like an hour, and then they'll kick you off again. There was a queue. I think it depended on whether or not you were paying for it or not. Because FreeServe did have a paid option, if I remember. But certainly FreeServe on the normal free tier. Yeah, and I say queue. When I say queue, I mean there were so many people dialing that number that often they didn't have any machines to pick up the connection. They'd obviously run out of modems at their end to actually receive connections. So you'd end up with a beep beep dial tone, or just a beep or something like that. I can't remember precisely what it was. But there was just that tone you heard that realised you could not actually connect to their end, because they just didn't have any modems that open for you to actually connect to. Yeah, yeah. Well, FreeServe, it's because it's FreeServe. FreeServe was like free. It was incredibly popular. A lot of people were going for that one. Yeah, FreeServe was made up of loads of smaller ISPs they purchased up. They ended up as Orange, yeah. FreeServe was the free one, wasn't it? In 1999, FreeServe sold itself for 1.6 billion. Yeah, I think there's a paid, there's a free version. I was very cheap at the time, so I was always trying to get onto the free. We're on disc 10. My sanity's slipping. If any millennial ever asks why are old people so angry, it's because we did this for a living. And when we see you complaining about the microwave taking too long, or your favourite show having a single advert in it, this is what we dealt with. uh, yeah, free paid by telephone call costs. Yeah, they are running out of IP4. They've been running out of IP4 addresses for years. I really question my life decisions watching this. Hello, I'm a millennial and I've worked with OS2 on a daily basis. Nice. Yep, definitely old school. Type robot. Tape robot run it. Fair enough. I think I was using Windows 98 back when always IRQ conflicts. Yep, yep. DOS trying to get your graphics card and your printer card and your blooming whatever card. No, most problems I had with IRQs were on the video capture machines we had. We were using Pinnacle video capture cards along with graphics cards and a video card, and quite often the Pinnacle was very finicky, and you had to put it on a very specific IRQ, which the graphics card also liked. Or it was a sound card, I can't remember which one. But there's always some kind of little annoying conflict where this card had to be higher on the IRQ list than this card. It's just like, oh, just cooperate. 2004 Pringles to capture your neighbour's internet. Yes, a can of Pringles. I was having problems with the TV tune. Oh, Win TV. I used to have a Win TV card because I didn't own a television. I thought it was a fantastic idea. I could just buy this little PCI card, put it in my system, and I would have internet. And I used to have their little application on my computer with a little indoor aerial trying to tune in to TV on my machine. So yes, I was probably the only idiot in the entire neighbourhood that had to load up his PC to watch TV. Yeah, Win TV by Harpage. I actually have a Harpage HDMI capture box. I mean, but yeah, that was my video capture for a long time. I shall return. I have to go eat with the family. LOL. Enjoy the next 60. I will probably be here when you get back. Disc 12 of 40, which makes this disc 52. No. At least 57 different floppy disks and display. We're probably on disc 60 now because I have floppy disk, display drivers and printers, and I don't know how many there are anymore. There's too many. I'll probably have to go through all 112 discs twice or something. Hey, how's it going? Thank you for the rose. It does ease my pain somewhat. They got it easy these days. No jumpers to set up the CPU. Yeah, I remember sitting there. In fact, my father had this amazing trick for resetting the BIOS. He would lift out the ISA card, turn the machine on, and then slam it in, and that would cause the CMOS to reset. And it used to freak everyone else when he did it. He would just casually walk up there, angle the card, slam it in with the power on, BIOS reset, then he'll walk away, and everyone's around him going, "What on earth are you doing? You're going to break it." I am installing OS2 Warp 4 on a 486 DX66 with 32 megabytes of RAM and a 1 gigabyte hard drive. Though technically it's only partitioned to 150 meg because 175 meg was too much and 100 meg was too little, so 150 meg appears to be just right. Don't ask me why. Yes, use TV card because the inspector looked for the TV license not paid. It never occurred to me to do that. I always paid my TV license. But yes, you probably could have hidden it. Thank you for the rose, I appreciate it. It dulls my pain. And it's just the most annoying thing right now, literally, look, animated floppy disk. They know there's a floppy disk here. Why are you pointing at drive G? Why? I've typed in A every time. Why are you not remembering the drive I've been pointing to? Thank you for the alien peace signs. Oh, is that CompuServe? Bonus pack, CompuServe. I reckon that's CompuServe, C-Serve. I might be wrong. I'm just looking into installing Mint on VM. Mint is my favourite Linux. How many discs have been there? Oh, we're on disc 14 now. I have been installing this OS now for 2 hours and 25 minutes. CompuServe didn't that come with a forerunner of Mozilla Firefox? That would have been Netscape. It'll be interesting to see if OS2 Warp has Netscape. CompuServe didn't come with that. Right. Yes, Mint is very good for a newbie. It is a very relaxed operating system. You won't have any issues finding anything. It's a very pleasant OS to use. Especially if you're a Windows user, then go for the Cinnamon version. So they got different flavors, but Cinnamon is the best if you want to kind of have a nice desktop experience. But if you're running a really old or low powered machine, then go for LDXE, which is another lower powered desktop. What was I going to search for? It's completely gone. How did my wallet turn out? Oh, I still haven't finished that project. The pieces are here, actually. This is too thick at the top, and there's not enough space here for the arm to move. But it's a relatively minor fix. I've just got to print out another one. I just haven't gotten around to it. That's what I was going to search for. Netscape on OS2 Warp. Did it actually work? Internet browser Netscape v 4.6 OS2 site. Okay. So OS2 Warp did appear to have Netscape. Oh, there we go. Welcome to the international version of Netscape Navigator 2 for OS2 Warp, developed in 1997. Indeed, the beauty of rapid prototyping. And it doesn't take too long to print out. It's only a couple of hours. I could almost install a copy of OS2 Warp the time it takes to print out. Disk 15. Yes, just why don't you remember A? Why are you making it hard? My first foot in Linux distro is Mandrake. I like Mandrake as well. I also like Pop OS. That's a good one. Once I start going into server stuff, it's usually CentOS and Debian I use. Quite like Fedora for some projects. I sometimes use OpenSUSE. Never really got into the Arch Linux. I have used it a bit. But I have to admit, I'm very much on the Debian side of the fence. Now you know this system is evil because it's got lots of HAL extensions. We all know how it turned out with HAL. Dave, I don't think you should be doing that, Dave. Manjaro is a good one. I like Manjaro. And the great thing is, a lot of the Linux are pretty similar in operation. It's only when you really get down to the command line that you have different package managers and stuff. And now we're on A. So many flavors of Linux, I know. It's a horrible thing when you got too much choice. I probably should have done this at my desk. My bottom is starting to hurt in the sofa now. Oh, that's something I would do, is just move the mouse pointer around. And if I was very lucky, the cat was nearby, and I'll just have fun watching the cat chase the mouse pointer. Disk 17. So it turns out we do need most of these discs. I kind of regret selecting the bonus pack now. This probably would have been over quicker had I not done so. Oh, hindsight is a wonderful thing. IBM works. Yeah, I have to admit, Archie's a bit fiddly. That's one of the reasons I prefer Debian. I like an operating system not to get in my way every 5 minutes. Disc 18 of 40. They seem to like that number, 40 discs. And if you came across an SEO Linux box licensed from MS and was hardware specific. I have to admit, I didn't get much involved with Linux back in the early days. I think I installed it once or twice out of curiosity, but I didn't really learn it till my mid-20s. I almost wonder if OS2 Warp would actually install Office. I wonder which versions it would install. So I've now been installing OS2 Warp 4 for the last 2 hours and 35 minutes. Yep, Office 6 discs. We're approaching the halfway point now, I'm hoping. Time for a cuppa. It's time for a 4-course banquet. This is the best. What's the best VM for Windows 98 ME that can play games? PCM is the best one if you want to emulate original hardware. Otherwise, you can just install it in VirtualBox. It depends if you want the old drivers. I assume you do, in which case I would go for PCM, which is actually what I'm using now. No worries. Transferring files to your hard disk. So effectively, this is a 150 megabyte partition. And this is how long it takes to install that amount of data. And hopefully that will give you a good appreciation for how quick modern devices are in comparison. Now, to be fair, though, this isn't the hard drive speed. This is the floppy disk speed. That's the limiting factor here. I think IBM Work was the precursor to Microsoft Works. IBM Works was an office suite for the IBM OS2 operating system. It includes a word processor, spreadsheet database, and PIM applications. So in 1980, Microsoft formed a partnership with IBM to bundle Microsoft operating system with IBM computers. In that deal, IBM paid Microsoft a royalty for every sale. Okay. Lotus, I remember Lotus. I used to use Lotus a lot. I remember its beautifully garish yellow colour schemes. Lotus 97 still works. I'll have to get a copy of that. The time this takes is painful. Tell me about it. This used to be my living. I generally have about 5 or 6 computers all running at the same time, and I'll be going between them all, trying to keep them all in lockstep as I try to install the operating systems. The greatest invention for me back then was the invention of the CD. But it'd still take a good hour and a half to install an OS back then. Thank you for the rose, I appreciate it. It takes away some of my pain. But it looks like Microsoft Office and IBM were quite closely linked as well. There was a lot of code sharing and stuff going on back then that I wasn't even aware of. Which does actually explain why Lotus is actually quite a good system. It may be because it was a lot of the same code that ended up in Office. Though I need to verify that. And just reading up on the history of it now. I didn't even know IBM and Microsoft were that close together. I thought I spent a lot of time waiting for Windows 7 to install back in the day, but this wins. Yes, I know what you mean. I was installing Windows 98 on exactly the same spec machine a few weeks ago, and it wasn't anything like this long. Because this thing has 112 floppy disks available in the package, whereas Microsoft had a maximum of like 30. And I think half of those were backup disks and hang on a sec. Disk 25. Wouldn't be surprised to see. I wouldn't be surprised me code sharing all those legal battles that happened the years after. Yeah, there's a lot of those. Does anyone remember Microsoft Works, the cheaper version of their Office stuff? That appears to be based on IBM Works. And we had the former leader of Lotus development going over to Macintosh businesses. A lot of transfers and stuff in the company. Yeah. I think I was mostly on Office, but no, I did use Works for a while because, quite frankly, it was cheap. I think I could pick one up for like $19.99. So I used that for a little bit of time. This is when the last floppy has a fault. And that's where I start running around looking for the backup of that floppy. Always make 2 backups of every floppy. Because you know the first backup's going to blooming die. Disk 26. I tell a lie. The current disk set I'm on, it's not 40 floppy disks, it's 50 floppy disks. That means I've just passed the halfway point. Why am I doing this again? That means at least 50 times I'm going to have to change this blooming G to a blooming A. The backup is pinned to a wall with a magnet. Oh, yeah, I can see that happening. Someone just gets a random fridge magnet, puts it somewhere safe. Oh, jeez, yeah. Yeah, I can absolutely see that happening. Oh, dear. Store them in the microwave for protection. I think the fridge magnet is a much more likely thing. Just put Junior's homework disc up on the fridge with his end of year report or something. Oh dear, oh dear. This is an emulator. I'm using PCM set up as a 486 DX2 with a massive 32 megabytes of RAM and a 1 gigabyte hard drive. It is using an S3 Trio 64 graphics card, a Sound Blaster 16 sound card. It has Novell networking and Realtek networking. And it has a floppy disk emulator, which is now asking for me for another one of. Oh, and I'm using the Award BIOS because that one works and the rest of them are pretty trash. I've had so many problems with the other BIOS attempts. And it even emulates the BIOS. Much to my pain, because I had to do a manual detect of the hard drive before I could even get this far into installing the OS. So now we're installing the Java development. So it's interesting to see that Java goes all the way back to IBM, well before Oracle ever acquired it. But who actually made Java in the first place? I wouldn't be surprised if it was IBM. Okay, Java was created by Sun Microsystems. That makes sense because the Solaris operating system was based on that. And no, Oracle, who have it now, Sun Microsystems were the ones who originally came up with it. And I remember Sun Microsystems making the Solaris operating system, which is actually a Java-based operating system. So that makes sense. Now, we know why Sun Microsystems failed. It's because they weren't named after a fruit or some kind of dessert. Do you remember installing MS Java, a light copy of Windows, before another legal battle was pulled? I do remember installing. I don't know if it was Microsoft Java, but I do remember installing Java. Disk 28. Come here, disk 28. Oh, why don't you remember disk A? Just remember A for me. Why are you making it harder? Anyway, yep. I should be doing this for charity. I should be getting people phoning in to see the 24-hour operating system installation. How does his sanity end up at the end of it? Excuse me. I'll have to work out what to call this YouTube video when it goes up. I think something along the lines of, what are we up to? We are up to disk 28, and I discovered that it's not 40 floppy disks, it's 50 floppy disks. So that's what we're up to. I was going to say, I've got to work out what the title of this YouTube video could be. Something like Vintage 486 OS2 Warp floppy disk install. I need to shorten that down. I think I might shorten it down to Floppy Hell. Yeah, I think they need pills for this. I think this is why drugs might have been invented. It's so you could have some fun while you're flopping floppy disks around. I now regret installing the extras. I should not have installed the extras. It could be worse. 1.2 megabytes on a 5¼ inch disc. To be honest, 0.2 megabytes will probably only add another 30 discs or so. It would be nice if they were all 2.88 discs, I'll tell you that now. That would halve the number. It would also be nice that every time I reinstalled this, every time I rebooted this and tried to load up the install disk, it didn't take 3 floppy disks just to get to the installation screens. It would have been nice if they managed to fit all that onto that. This is definitely not Windows 95. This is OS2 Warp 4. Apparently there's a window behind that. OS2 Warp 4 setup and installation is updating your system configuration. Please wait. Apparently updating your system configuration means copying all the files over. Now, it's very similar to Windows 95 because IBM and Microsoft were doing a code sharing. So what you're actually seeing is the future code base of Windows NT. Disk 29. I have been installing this software now for quite a long time. I can try Windows Longhorn, just not right now. Thank you for the alien peace sign. I really do appreciate it. All gifts soothe my tortured mind. At least they 1.44 HD floppies and not the 720. Yeah, that would have made it 224 discs. 224. Loved Windows NT4 with PDC and BDC not. How many discs left to install? 5 left? Well, I recently found out that instead of the 40 discs I thought I was now installing, it was 50 discs. I am now on disk 29. So yeah, I think I've got like 21 discs left. I can tell you one thing, when this is installed, I will be making a copy of the hard drive, the virtual hard drive, and I will be duplicating it. We're on disc 30. Yep, we're on disc 30 of 50. And that's not including the first 40 installation discs, just to get the basic operating system installed. So we had 40 of those. We had 2 display driver discs, or 2 printer discs, and then for all the application installation, there's another 50 discs. Thank you again for the alien peace sign. So far today, I will have installed 40, 42, 43. Brain's gone numb. 93 discs. 93 discs in total. Assuming, of course, it doesn't need all 112. It's possible it might do. But yeah, this is just installing the applications. We've got Java OS 2. So it's, we got another one. We're on disk 31. What's up? How am I today? I'm going nuts. My sanity is fleeing my corpse. I'll send you a sign every time you set a disc. I appreciate it. There's the next disc. There we go. And we're in. Yay. Oh, no. No, don't start doing this to me. Don't tell me the disc is broken or something. Let's try that again. 31. Come on. Yay, okay. You get money every time someone sends you a high-value gift. I'm aware. And I very much appreciate it any time someone does. Now, I am going to admit I have no idea what the alien peace sign is worth, because honestly, hardly anyone ever sends me gifts, and I've never looked into it. But I do appreciate any gift. Roses, whatever. So a 4-part video just to install. No, this is going to be one big single video. I'm just going to upload the 3-hour video we currently have. Come on. Disc 32. Disc 32. There you are. Don't forget to change this to A, which is the most annoying thing right now. Thank you for the alien peace sign. I appreciate it. For more storage for my PC, what do you recommend? Okay. For more storage for your PC, I recommend a bigger SSD. But if you'd like to ask a more specific question, I'm more than happy to give you technical advice. What am I here? What am I doing? You don't have to thank me each time it's a long night. I do. Anytime someone sends me a gift, I have to say thank you. I am very appreciative of it. 2 terabyte SSD is a great value these days. They are. Maybe not necessarily go for the cheaper ones though, because they don't necessarily have the DRAM. Once you get that. Storage, NVMe, if you can take it, M2, second best, general SSD. Yep. What are you going to do next? Do in next stream or current after OS2 Warp install? I don't know yet. These old installation methods seem to be popular, so I might go through various operating systems. I've spoken quite a lot about Solaris, so maybe I can get my hands on that. And you can see the Sun Microsystems Java-based OS. I know my father was using that for enterprise level stuff back in the day. Samsung is fairly trustworthy. Yes, Samsung tend to be fairly good, except recently when there's been lots of reports of Samsung discs failing. So I don't know the full details of that one. Oh boy, OS2, that's been a long time. Yes, indeed. The fact that I generally watch your videos all day. I'm glad you enjoy my content, mate. I really do. Okay, as Longdon mentioned, though, NVMe drives are the fastest if your motherboard support it. Our go-to SSDs are Western Digital, WD Black, or WD Blue. Yeah, I can understand that. WD Blue is probably the one I would go for more often than not. WD Black, I probably wouldn't go for WD Black. I'll probably go for the Samsung ones instead. I think they're about similar prices. And Samsung does have a bit of a better reputation, even though the newer drives, I think the 990's been having some failures, but the 970s, the 980s have been established and working very well for a very long time. Now, to be honest, if you're looking to get a cheap if you're looking to do something like upgrade an old laptop with a mechanical hard drive, then you will find such a stark difference between a mechanical and even an SATA 600 drive or an SATA 2 drive. Just going from mechanical to any kind of SSD is a massive improvement, unless, of course, it's a really, really cheap SSD. Yeah. But I have to admit, for me personally, moving from those 2.5-inch drives to NVMe drives did not present such a massive improvement. I almost don't really notice the performance difference between them, if that makes any sense. I know it's there, but it's in the realm of a few seconds faster rather than your computer now loads up in 20 seconds rather than 2 minutes. So yeah, I don't mind using the 2.5-inch drives if you're trying to save some money. You still get some pretty reasonable performance out of them. And the jump from 3,300 to 7,000 megabytes a second. It's like we're coming down to the point now where you're just shaving off seconds. And as you can see, I'm an old-time guy. I will sit here and install an operating system from floppy drives live just for fun. So I have to admit the 2 or 3 seconds performance difference between the 2.5-inch drives and the NVMe drives, and then there may be 1 or 2 seconds improvement jumping up to the PCI 4. I've stopped seeing storage as any kind of bottleneck at this point. It really isn't. It depends if you're going for 500, 4,000 and moving a lot of data. Exactly. I mean, if you're moving a lot of data, then it can make a difference. But if you're just loading up your games, booting up your operating system, making documents, doing that kind of stuff, it doesn't make a huge difference at this point. It really doesn't. It gets to the point where you have numbers for numbers' sake. Which is, to be fair, PCs have been doing that for years. But I would say the more important thing now for solid state storage is less the how fast it is and more the how big it is. And we're almost at the point now, I think, where it's as cheap to buy capacity in SSDs as it is to buy it in traditional hard drives. And the only big thing that changes from that point onwards then is the durability of those drives. Because if you've got the triple cell ones, they're less durable than single cells. And that's where you start paying more money and stuff. But yeah, I mean, on this system, I have 2 terabytes on 2 drives. On my big system, I have 12.5 terabytes, but I've got one 8 terabyte drive, and I've got one 4 terabyte drive, and then I've got a half terabyte boot disk. So that is my main storage server for my video editing and other projects. Ooh, we got a different one now. So insert Win OS2 disk. So we're temporarily leaving the application installs, and now we're going on to a different set of disks. And the amazing thing is, it's got the right drive letter, which, believe it or not, actually excites me. So now we're on to the Windows stuff. So this is the Windows compatibility that comes with OS2 Warp 4. There we go. It is nice after all this time to see a slightly different prompt, but it's also very interesting that they've got these different sort of graphical interfaces, because you had the text one to start with. That's fine. Then you had that sort of silver band one. Then you got these sort of odd things where you got little pictures of floppy disks. So yeah, it's quite interesting. The Xbox S depends on games for the SX. I want fast storage or other go on the standard SSD. Honestly, I don't know much about the Xbox, so I don't really own one. So I can't comment on that. What else have we had? I still have a passion for older tech that still works. So relatable for most. Yeah, I agree. Auto-populate, I have the same problem too. Thank you for the alien peace sign. I really appreciate it. And sorry, I will keep thanking you. I think it's Windows Update Service. Need SSD expansion thing. You need ideas on what I can get. USB disk? I don't know. Mine has gone, checked in services, or Microsoft blocking system to update problem, incompatible system. Okay, so you're discussing troubleshooting with Xbox, I think. Note my update service is gone. I just checked. Would you recommend running a Sony Vaio laptop 24/7? I don't see why not. Laptops will run, unless you're overheating the laptop, or the fan's dirty, or it's in a space where it just can't get enough air. Maybe raise it off the desk so it's getting plenty of air under it. But other than that, the only thing I really concern myself. Thank you for the 25 alien peace symbols. Get them all done in one go. He has faith that I'm actually going to make it through this. Would you recommend running laptops are fine. Keep them cooled. I don't see why they wouldn't just sit there quite happily running forever. Thank you for the Royal Rose. I really appreciate it. And thank you everyone for just being here tonight and watching me go through all this. It will be a much different story if I was sitting here with 0 people in the chat room. Thank you for the squirrel. Yes, I realised it was Jonah, so I should say names really. Thank you, Just Jonah, for the Royal Rose, and thank you for the squirrel. And I would say your name, but it's coming up in like Arabic, so I have no idea what it is. I'm so sorry. Right, so we're in Disk 2 of the Windows compatibility stuff. I just realised there's quite a few of those discs. I think there's 12 of them. There's 12 of them. Oh no. That means I've added another 12 discs to this, and it's probably going to go back to doing the FL discs. It got to like disc 31, so I suspect after this is done, it's going to make me go through all of those. So this may be a 4-hour install. I could have watched 2 movies instead of doing this. I could have gone through one of the extended edition Lord of the Rings. I am trying to install OS2 Warp, IBM OS2 Warp, on an emulated 486 DX2 66 processor with 32 megs of RAM, a Trident card, 1 gigabyte of drive space, which is actually only 150 megabytes right now because I haven't made the second partition. Right, so disc 3. Thank you, Joa, for the rose. I appreciate it. I appreciate everyone's support for being here. Let's do Warp disc 3. Yep, we're on disc 3 now. Thank you for the alien peace sign. Disc 3. OS2 Warp disc 3. There we go. And go. Oh, if one of these disk files are corrupted, I'm going to be so sad. Oh. I am going to bankrupt for another pleasure if it makes me... What? I am going to bankrupt for this other pleasure. It makes me happy. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh my god, OS2 Warp was my favourite. That's brilliant. I have spent 3 hours and 15 minutes installing OS2 Warp from floppy disk on an emulated 486 machine, and I am really questioning why I chose to do this. 3 hours, 12 minutes and 50 seconds to be precise. Are you planning on making a Discord server soon? I might do. It hasn't been a high priority on my list, but yeah, I could probably set one up. Now I've got a YouTube channel going and I've got TikTok as well. I'm doing lives. It would probably make sense to have one. Do you use real discs? Not on this occasion. I am using disk images purely because I know that if I got the real floppy disks out, one of the buggers would have bad sectors and I would not be able to complete this. So rather than putting myself through this, I am using IMG files. But as you can see, it is very much emulating the realistic speed of floppy disks. I may take you up on that at some point. I will probably have fun trying to work out how to make a Discord bot myself, because just the kind of guy I am. If there's a new bit of technology flushed in front of me, I will probably sit there and try and work it out. Everything I drop on the disk number goes down, not up. Every time. Yes, yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I had that with the first run. You got to install 11 discs, and then it tells you to go put disc 1, 2, and 3 back in, which is really annoying. We're on disc 5. So I'm now installing the Windows compatibility software into it. I could have made this much easier on myself by not installing all the extras, but I'm a masochist and I install all the extras. Thank you for the alien peace sign. I really appreciate it. He says as he's trying to find the next disc. There we go. There we go. Come on. You can do it, Mr. Computer. There we go. There's disc 5. This is a very hungry machine. I have made 32 of them. Fair enough. The only hard part of a Windows install is finding the product key that works. Well, if you go to WinWorld PC, there will be a product key for you. So if you want a Windows 98 or old Windows, then that Windows Museum will set you straight. Jacob, is it? Thank you. I will try to remember. I'm absolutely horrible with names, so I apologise if I forget. I just use my Sony Vios before installing Ubuntu server on it. Sony Vios are a good little laptop. It's when you need a blank disk to back up the files during the install. Yep, yep, yep. And as we made a joke earlier, you then take a high-powered magnet and you take that backup disk and you put it on a whiteboard. Don't do that. Some product key on WinWord when we. I don't seem to have. I haven't had any issues with any of the product keys not working, but I haven't been through all their examples yet. I know they don't have Windows XP up there because Microsoft asked them to take that down. So they're fine with everything else apparently, but Windows XP was a bit too far for them. I work for a Discord bot company called Vibes, and it makes making bots easy, but I prefer coded. Fair enough. I do find it very interesting, though, the different installation screens we keep getting. I find it interesting that you get the text one, which is pretty standard. Then we got this design here, and for a long time we just got a basic grey bar without any of the disks being shown. So it's like you've got these different file transfer methods all coded into the same OS, and all they're doing is copying files. So it's like, thank you for the fire pit. Thank you, Jonah. Sorry. It's just interesting. They got all these different file systems programmed into this installation process when they really only needed one, because all they're doing is copying files from A to B. Thank you for the Februaries as well. I suppose it is February, isn't it? It feels like Christmas was like 5 minutes ago, I swear. And thank you for the lightning bolts. Thoughts on Intel GPUs? You know, if I had the money, I would absolutely buy one. For two reasons. First of all, driver support is actually getting pretty good. Second is that the 750 has dropped down by $20. And right now they are the only GPU company lowering prices, not rising them. So I'd like to support that mentality. And the final thing is that it supports AV1 encoding, which as a video editor and someone who does a lot of educational videos, AV1 is very much a platform I'm moving to because it reduces the load on our educational servers. So we're in the process of doing a lot of those conversions now. And as a nice cheap card for doing AV1 encoding, it's brilliant. I have a GTX 1070, currently planning on upgrading for the future, but it does the job quite well. Now, I will say, right, so OS2 Warp installation, updating system, please wait. Okay. So I guess I'll just wait for now. 70, very reasonably priced, purchase one. I say the only drawback I know of in regards to Intel, other than its drivers being a little bit beta, is it supported DirectX 9 games. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh no, DirectX 9 games run like terrible. And I'm almost of the opinion that I don't care, because I've seen the benchmarks, and as long as they're going over 90 frames per second or 60 frames per second, I don't care. That's a playable experience as far as I'm concerned. And how often do you go back and play COD? Now, of course, if you are someone who plays a lot of COD, then it makes sense that you would want like a more stable thing because you want a competitive system. But if you want good price, then I think. Sorry, I hit my microphone. Then I think the ARC series are actually pretty good, compelling value. And if I was in the market to upgrade my graphics card, I would probably grab one. Yeah, I don't think there are that many problems now. I think certainly in newer titles. I think in the older titles, let's say DirectX 9, That's where you have most of the problems. Right, I better read the screen now. OS2 warp setup and installation. OS2 warp setup and installation complete. Oh, I thought this was just another screen. I'm glad I read it now. Remove the installation disk from A. Shut down the system to make make the changes take effect. Select OK to shut down. Installation note. To ensure successful install, certain defaults may have been installed. Some systems may default to VGA and no audio. To change this, shut down and restart, then use selective install on the system startup folder. See up and running for details. Okay. I won't remember any of that. I've almost all forgotten it already. So I'm going to reject floppy disk A. So it looks like I didn't have to go through the other 20 or so floppy disks, so it might still make me do it there. Let's find out, shall we? I saw a glimpse then of a desktop, which actually genuinely excited me. Thank you for Jacob for the tiny dinny. I'm assuming that's a dinosaur. Shut down complete. Now save to turn off the computer. Oh, so it doesn't actually shut down your machine. It just prepares it to be in a shut off state. So we're going to now perform a hard reset. There we go. We have that beautiful old BIOS checking its memory 3 times. Should have, but it didn't apparently. You know what? I'm just happy to see this booting off the hard drive. That was the bane of my existence previously. I could not boot off the blooming hard drive. Okay for BIOS reset because I forgot the password. Yep, no ACP back then, or APCI back then. Yes, you're right. Why do you need to remove BIOS CMOS anyway? Yeah, it's just like if you need to reset the data in it for some reason. How fast do you type? How fast do you type? And how do you type fast? I believe I clocked in at around 100 words per minute. I think I've managed to reach up to about 110. But I can be a bit erratic in my typing sometimes, so it's usually between 60 and 100, depending on what I'm doing. Wow, we have OS2 Warp tutorial. Okay, the program. Okay, system error. A program in this session encountered a problem and cannot continue. End program command. Now it's doing a bunch of stuff in the background, so I almost don't want to do anything. Okay, I'm going to click on OK. Seems to be okay. So it's creating a bunch of objects right now. We have a Windows, almost looks like Windows 3.1. But that's probably because of the color scheme. Okay, so we have the taskbar up here. I have installed Temple OS. Yes, I have. I regret installing Temple OS, but I did install it. It is not what I would classify as a useful operating system, though it is a very interesting experiment as to what one interesting mind can come up with. So we got find. We have, what's this do? Password? No, don't want a password. OS2 Warp Center, what's that? Connect voice type. Oh, apparently you could do voice typing in this. Assistant Center. Connections. Drives. Printers. Okay. So we've got all our drives. OS system. Programs. Got to go for games. Let's try OS2 chess. So we're going to have human versus computer, and you're going to get to see my absolutely terrible chess skills. I'm going to put that on beginner. And I'm going to click on OK. Oh, we got a simple low color 3D chess program. I actually find the position of this chessboard is a bit awkward. I'm actually having trouble seeing where the pieces are. Can I rotate this? No, I can't drag and rotate it. Okay. Yeah, I find that chessboard quite awkward to use. We'll minimize that one. Device locked. So we got OS2 basics. Device locked. Why is it now telling me device locked? Okay. So we've got OS2 basics. Basics. Oh, that's a tiny font, isn't it? Right, I suppose the first thing I should do is try and work out how to get sound and graphics working. So if I go up here, and I'm going to try and work out where settings are on this. I'm not going to read a manual because who wants to read a manual? Thanks for popping by, okay? And thanks for seeing me get this far. It does look very Windows 95. And that makes sense because it's based on Windows NT of around the same sort of thing. So we got DOS window. Cannot start. Make sure path. Okay, so DOS window does not start. Yep, skip that one. I'm looking for settings. Right, hardware manager. Let's see if we got... Right, so there's no objects there. Country, install, move, power scheme. I'm looking for like display settings. So we've got a volume thing there. Not really telling me much. Properties. Window. Okay. I'm going to try restarting it. Thank you for the mic. I really appreciate it, Sani. Now, as you can see, this is where the end of my knowledge really starts to show because I don't know what I'm doing. I never used OS2 Warp back in the day, and I'm very much treating it like Windows. System setup, that looks hopeful. Ah, okay. So color palette, multimedia setup, system, zero display, sound remove, create utility disks. Let's try system. Ah, there we go. 256 colors. Does it let me do 256 colors? Can I upgrade the... Ah, so you got the number of colors here. Ooh, we have high color support. So if we take it up to 800 by 600, and do I double click on it? Where's the OK button? Change will not take effect till you shut down and reboot. Okay, that's fine. So I'm assuming there's no OK button or confirm. I've just got to restart it. So now I've got to work out how I restart it. How do I restart OS2 Warp? I think startup sound and games. Oh yeah, still supported 4-core threads. I think there's something else. Are you sure you want to shut down the system? Yes. Yes, I am. Chalk one up for randomly clicking on stuff until you get what you want. Now, is it actually shutting down? Are you sure you want to shut down the system? Yes. It is doing nothing. I got an operating system I can't shut down. Have you ever monitored terminals? Yes, sometimes 60 SSD. Okay. Another conversation going on there that I've missed. Well, nothing's really happening. And it said it was shutting down, so I'm just being the fool right now. Are you sure you want to shut down the system? Yes. Yes, I am. It is doing nothing. Fine. You know what? I'm going to do it manually. There we go. Now, how bad would it be if I just corrupted the operating system I installed? Have I tried a fresh install? Yes, I just spent 3.5 hours, but I'm assuming you're talking about something else. Oh no. Check disk, found minor system error, corrected an allocation error, okay. The current hard drive is C. Oh geez, it's doing disk repairs already. That's a scary sign. Ooh, we have a higher resolution. I'm going to have to go in now and adjust this. We now have OS2 Warp in glorious high colour and 800 by 600 resolution. It seems to be loading up my game exactly where it was before. No, it's not. Okay. I don't like the fact that I'm getting errors. I probably set it to human mode. That's why that's not working. Right, so he loaded up the program where I left it, so that's fine. So let's close that down. I have to admit that the background doesn't look that much better, even in high colour. Yeah, exactly. Sits for 3.5 hours and it corrupts and it won't shut down. Oh, jeez. So we've got WinOS2 set up. I assume that's just running that, so I'm going to ignore it. You know what I should do is just go into the folder where I made it and actually duplicate this hard drive file, just so I don't lose it. So where would I have put that file? Let's shut this down for a moment. Let's see if it shuts down now. Yes. Now, will you please shut down? Thank you. You're now shutting down. Thank you. Right. It is now safe to turn off your computer. So I'm going to temporarily shut this down. And I'm going to locate the hard drive file that I just spent 3.5 hours making. And I'm going to duplicate it. So I'm trying to find it. Doesn't actually take me to the folder where I wanted it, so I'm trying to find it on my hard drive. I'm going to assume It's in drive C. And I'm going to locate that file even if it takes me all night. Because I at least have video proof that I've managed to get through this. Right, open file location. Maybe there's another way I can go about doing this. It's not finding it. Oh, why are you going to that folder? Silly computer. Yes, thank you guys. I'm glad I got through the install as well. I may actually call it a night because I've got to go and find where this file is, and it's not cooperating with me. So rather than risking losing that data and having you guys stare at a blank screen, I think I will end the live. The video will be uploaded to YouTube, so at CK Enthusiast, YouTube at CK Enthusiast. I thank you all for supporting me in doing this tonight. I will come back with another live sometime this weekend where we look over the operating system, try and solve the audio problems, that kind of stuff, or I might just try installing another OS. But I think given the amount of time investment, which is now nearly 7 hours of lives if you combine the first one I did originally, then it's probably worth going through the OS, seeing how much it did support Windows programs, if you could run any games on it, could you install DirectX, just how useful was it as an operating system. So you have to start work. I'm glad you were here to see me complete the install as well. But there's plenty to install, plenty to view, I should say, in OS2 Warp. So we'll be back with another live. We will take a look at the operating system. And I thank everyone who stuck with me, sent gifts, and encouraged me to carry on doing this. And yeah, that's brilliant. So thanks everyone again. I will be back with a new live sometime this weekend. Thank you for your support, and please check me out on YouTube.